Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Math with Dr. War. Today we're going to be translating word phrases to expressions. Let's begin. So my first expression says sum of A and 5. Now sum means to add, so we're adding two items. So we can write this as A plus 5. Because the operation has to go between your A and your 5. Our second example says the difference of A and 5, and difference means to subtract. Because the A is first, it's going to be A minus 5. Now here we have product. Product means to multiply. The product of A and 5. Now remember I said write as is, so some students like to write A, and I'm going to put a dot for my multiplication sign. So we like to use the dot. So A times 5. Now you should know by now that in algebra we prefer when you're multiplying to have your coefficient, which is your number first, followed by your variable. So your answer here is 5A. Here we have the quotient. Quotient means to divide. So students can write this as A divided by 5. However, this is algebra, and we prefer if you use the fraction bar as your division sign and you have A over 5. Here I have the sum. So here they're telling me to add of x squared, so that's x raised to the second power, and 11. My answer is just x squared plus 11. And we're finished. Now in this problem, notice they start with 9. Then they have added 2, so there's your plus sign. Then they have quotient, and we know quotient, we use the fraction bar. And then we have x and y. X over y. So we're finished. 9 added to the quotient of x and y. So your answer is 9 plus x over y. So I always say write as is if the numbers first start with the number. Now there are some scenarios where you have to write in reverse, and we're going to get to those now. A number subtracted from 7. Now, whenever you see the word from in a problem and it's always attached to subtraction, this is where you have to write in reverse. Meaning you're writing your answer starting from the back to the front. So who's first? 7. What are you doing? Subtracting. There's my sign. And then it says a number. When they don't tell you what the number is, you're going to use a variable to represent a number. And I prefer to use x. Sometimes in the problem, they will tell you what letter to use. If they don't tell you, x is my preference. Here I have 6 more than 2 times a number. Once I see that word than, that is my clue that I need to reverse the order. Again, we're writing in the opposite direction. We're going from right to left. So we have 6 here. So I'm going to try to, right here. It says 2 times a number. 2 times a number would be 2x. More than would be plus. And what are you adding? 6. So we're writing in reverse. Let's try that again. We have 8 less than. Notice I see the word than. So you're like, okay, it's time to reverse my order. And it says 3 times a number. So 3 times a number is first. 3 times a number is 3x. Then you have your less than, which means to subtract. And then finally you have your 8. But remember, we're writing our answer in reverse. So it's going to be 3x minus 8. Not 8 minus 3x. And remember why you're reversing. So whenever you read your expression, Look for those keywords that tell you, oh, I need to reverse the order. You reverse for the words from, or if you see the word than, then you reverse your order. Okay, now sometimes you need to use parentheses. When do you know you have to use parentheses? Whenever product is first in your operation, followed by either add or subtract. So notice this says 4 times, so I'm multiplying, followed by the sum where I have to add, and I'm adding a number and 3. So because my first operation is multiplication being followed by addition, I'm going to have parentheses. So the 4 is going to be outside the parentheses, and then they want us to find the sum, so I'm adding, and we're going to write as is. A number, we're going to use an X, and then your 3. So your answer is 4, and in parentheses, X plus 3. Our next problem says the product. Okay, so I see the word product, which means to multiply. So it says the product of 2 and a number. So that's 2x. And then notice what's being followed. Minus. And then it says here the sum. So I'm going to have to open my parentheses here, because sum tells me I'm going to add 2 things. And they want me to add a number, which I don't know, so I'm going to call it x, and 4. So it's x plus 4. So this says the product of 2 and a number, 2x. Then I had minus. I put my minus in, but then they wanted me to add 2 terms, and that's why we need our parentheses. Okay, let's look at another problem. Let's see what operations we have here. They said the sum, which means to add the sum. So they want the sum of x and 5. Then they said divided by. So we know we have division by the difference. So we know difference means to subtract. And what are we subtracting here? X and 10. So let's get started. So they said the sum of x and 5, x plus 5, divided by, remember we used the fraction bar, and then they said the difference. So I know I'm subtracting, and what am I subtracting? X minus 10. Now the last problem, sometimes they want you to set up the equation and solve it. So this says 13 less than a number is -1. And they say find the number. Now this word is means equal. And is a verb. So if you see is equal to, is the same as, produces, yields, result in, all of these terms means an equal sign. So wherever I see the is, I put the equal sign. Following that, it says -1. Now let's go back. Now here I see the word than, and it's less than. So we know less than means to subtract. There is 13, and then it says a number, which is x. But because of the word than, you're going to write this in reverse. X minus 13 equals -1. And then they want us to solve this and find a number. So to solve this, I would add 13 to both sides. The 13 cancel. I have x equals. I'm going to combine my right hand side. The signs are different, so I'm going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. So my answer is x equals 12. So whenever you see the word is, that represents your equal sign. I would suggest you put it in because you want to separate the left hand side and the right hand side. -1 is on the right hand side, And on the left hand side, because it had that word than, you had to reverse it. It was not 13 minus x, it was x minus 13. I hope this has been helpful. Good luck in your TASC examination.